The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your hosts, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, Nicole Hutchison, and Jess Navarez.
Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome into the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison, Aisha Morrison, and Jess Navarez, and will be joining us in a second. But right now, we've got Christy Scales with me in the house. Christy, obviously, it's Victory Tuesday. You got to be feeling a little lighter, right?
Yeah. It was a much happier overnight flight home from LAX, I can tell you that. And Coach McCarthy has literally just in the last 2 minutes wrapped up his press conference, so we're making our way down from that. So as you say, Jess and Aisha will be here in just a moment. But Coach referenced that the entire season, just trying to put things into context as we roll into the bye week, that it's a roller coaster ride and ups and downs. And he says roller coaster rides are fun, to which I was nodding my head in agreement, but thinking in my mind, they also can make you a little nauseous.
Yeah, give you a headache a little bit.
But that was not the prettiest win. It's not going to hang on the wall in the Louvre, but you know what? W's count as W's, whether it's a 3-point win or a 40-point win, and admire the way that the team really fought through everything yesterday. And I know that the Chargers are just licking their wounds and regretting all the times that they shot themselves in the foot yesterday.
Yeah, Coach McCarthy just said in the press conference it was gritty but not pretty.
Yeah.
Not the prettiest win, but like you said, a W is a W.
Yeah, and the thing was, overcoming those self-inflicted wounds, there were more penalties. You know, the Chargers had their fair share as well, but that's the thing was working through it and coming up with the big play when they needed it. So Micah Parsons, everyone's like, where's Micah today?
Yeah.
Where's Micah today? And then when you needed him,
he showed up.
He was the one that showed up. And then the other thing that I really enjoyed about yesterday was the two big free agent off-season additions, the two free agent veterans that came in and were going to make the big difference this year. They both showed up at the right times yesterday. Brandon Cooks, the wide receiver, with his first touchdown as a Dallas Cowboy, and then Stephon Gilmore slamming the door at the end with the interception. So there were a lot of young players that contributed yesterday, and there was, I know as we go through today, we'll talk about some of the things that happened with the roster and the way that they were juggling things to help make up for missing people on special teams, but it was a all-round, team win yesterday for sure.
We've got the ladies back. Hey, guys. Oh, my gosh.
Don't mind me.
I was going to say, give me a little energy. Are you sure?
Sorry, y'all. We were talking to Mike McCarthy. I think he's a good reason to be late. We were talking to the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Sure. The
kind of can't cut him off to be like, I have a podcast to do.
Yeah.
Sorry,
the best stuff is always the walk-off.
Yeah.
He said a couple things to us and answered a couple of our questions. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Happy Victory Tuesday.
Right? Yes. Yeah, but I mean, are we just kind of talking about the game, what we felt about it? Man, it was. I really wanted to ask him how you keep your guys in it when the whistle is that prominent, and it's on both sides. I didn't think anyone won the whistle yesterday. How do you keep them engaged, because it was just really hard to find a rhythm. I will say from that, but Dak Prescott played with a determination that I have not seen from him. And it's not even just he's played well in other games, but it was just like, it didn't matter if they were in a 3rd and long. It didn't matter if there was a hold. It didn't matter what was going on. He really willed them to that win in certain aspects. And so I was just impressed with his determination and just how he decided, like, we're not losing this game.
And he did what you've been calling for the past few weeks, and that's using his legs.
7-step
Make them pay, man. Make them pay. We talked about it. The Chargers play a lot of soft coverage, and with that allows that that there's green out there, and for him to, if he didn't see it, I mean, even Mike McCarthy mentioned like some of the disguises and stuff. They came out the bye, and so the Chargers threw some things at them that they hadn't seen yet, and he didn't see it there in the passing game. Okay, there's grass out here. Let me take those opportunities. I really like that he put that on tape in the way that he did, because hopefully other defenses will start honoring the fact that he will do that.
Yeah, I also like that Mike McCarthy mentioned that they're going to be selective about using it. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to use it over and over again because he can do it. And to me, when you're working with a veteran quarterback like Dak Prescott, that's the smartest thing you can do for him, is not change what makes him an even better player, which is the unpredictable factor that he can bring to this game of, well, he can run, but is he? And so if you constantly try to call that over and over again, it's going to get predictable. Guys are going to shut it down. But when it's not predictable, look what happened yesterday with that rushing touchdown. Something that I was interested to hear from Mike McCarthy about today was the penalties, specifically the pre-snap penalties in this game, as you all just know how crazy it drives me. Nicole, last year on the show, we had a game where we would tell people to take a shot every time I talked about penalties.
Of what?
Whatever you want.
Oh,
it's
wow.
5 o'clock somewhere. If you want to take a shot of water, that's fine, and just don't drive.
That'd be what,
of
11
course.
shots?
Yeah, whatever you want to do. But, when I was watching this game yesterday, something that I went to go look at right away was, before the game, the officiating crew, and how many penalties they had called so far the first 5 weeks of the season. They had a total count of 69 for 637 yards. Interestingly enough, their highest penalized game came in week 2, week 1, where they had 17 penalties for 132 yards. Overall, though, week 2 they had 14, week 3 they had 8, week 4 they had 16, week 5 they had 14. You know this is going to be a highly penalized game looking at those numbers alone. So, something that Mike McCarthy mentioned during his press conference was knowing how to kind of coach the guys when you know it's going to be a highly penalized team, and that's using your hands, and that's being smarter with the ball, playing more disciplined football. So I was really glad that Mike McCarthy mentioned that, because those pre-snap penalties, killer yesterday, and if it wasn't for the Chargers being just as penalized as the Cowboys, could have been a very different game.
Yeah. It ended up being 20 penalties accepted overall, but there were more than that. There were some that weren't accepted, or there were a few plays that had double penalties on them. So Land Clark, the referee, got more airtime than Taylor Swift at a Kansas City game.
Thank you, Christy.
You're welcome.
Woo!
I was
You
just
said
thinking.
it, not me.
I was just thinking.
You said it,
Land,
not me.
Yeah, Land trying to get on TV for his mom or his wife or something.
I don't know. Maybe he needed the
LeBron,
sign like Lance Bass did during
LeBron.
the game.
that was
Said
great.
not
Did y'all
Taylor
see,
Swift?
did they show that on TV?
No, I
yeah.
got it sent to me, and I was like, "Oh, y'all just know me so well."
It was so great. I mentioned it in my sideline exclusive for Dallas Morning News, because there's always a lot of celebrities. There are always a lot at LA, more for Rams than for Chargers. But so you have LeBron and Dez and Trayvon Diggs sharing a suite, and Michael Irvin's in a suite next to Jimmy Johnson. But anyway, they show a celebrity shot, and Lance Bass from NSYNC is up in the thing, and he's holding up a white sign, and written in magic marker it says, "Not Taylor Swift."
And then he goes and he posts it on social media and says, in case anybody is confused. So
it was hilarious. So actually, that got like the best response. But hey, we do have to commend the Cowboys fans, because of the 70,238 fans in attendance, half. And when I say half, it's not a guesstimate. I'm telling you that both offenses used the silent count.
Yeah.
The Chargers were using the silent count as early as the first quarter. It's something that we mentioned last week that was a possibility, and there they were in that final and all the way through the game. Yeah. And what was important about it was Justin Herbert with the fractured middle left finger, and it was wearing the glove and had the splint underneath it and stuff. It looked like I'll borrow Brad Sham from Cowboys Radio. He said it looked like hot dog fingers from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Ew.
But anyway, he couldn't take. You've never seen that movie where they got the hot dog
fingers?
fingers?
That was the worst part of the movie.
It was. It's freaky looking. Look online.
I don't think I want to.
So
that sounds gross.
the point is Justin Herbert wasn't only one, maybe 2 snaps out of 73 he took under center. He was in the shotgun, and so very hard to communicate when the crowd is loud. And so the Cowboys fans there at SoFi Stadium really did their job, because that's embarrassing for a home team when you're having to use a silent count in your own stadium.
Yeah, I just asked Mike McCarthy about that, and they were on a silent count, but I was really asking in retrospect to the offsides. Some of the offsides calls, especially on Micah, because you can tell he's timing it just perfectly, and so I just wanted to get some understanding on that. But yeah, them being on a silent count in their own houses, that's rough, that's tough.
Yeah,
Cowboys
I don't
Nation
know what that's
travel.
like.
Yeah, travel to California. Yeah, always really. Hence why training camp goes Sox.
No, but that's why last week at practice here at the Star, normally when you have an away game, you're only running the crowd noise, when you're on offense, because you're anticipating that it's going to be loud when you're on offense. Last week at practice, they were running the crowd noise when the Cowboys defense was out there going against scout team. Pretending to be the Chargers offense, because it's just as important for the defense to be able to communicate, and especially not having Leighton Vander Esch, who was officially placed on injured reserve finally on Monday, and Jaron Kearse, by the way, took over the duties wearing the green dot and taking the calls from Dan Quinn and his radio helmet, sharing it with the teammates in the defensive huddle. So there were a lot of adjustments that were made in the game, and I know we'll talk more about it as we go along.
Well, ladies, we're going to take a break really quickly. We'll be right back. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk. You're watching, like I already said it well, Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And come on out to AT&T Stadium on February 24th for the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship Series. Watch the World Series. Best 2 wheel racers converge for one night of nonstop action. Enjoy unprecedented access to sports' biggest stars with an up-close view of their race bikes and team rigs at FanFest. Tickets are on sale now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium. Make sure to go out there, guys. Let's break down this offense, right? For me, I love just seeing the opening drive, the first 2 plays, Dak just chunking it. You know, they're really opening up this offense. What did you guys love seeing out of these guys? I know CeeDee Lamb obviously leading the way with receptions. Brandon Cooks, his first touchdown as a Dallas Cowboy. Right.
I know. I live. I was so hyped in my house.
Celebration.
Yeah, I was so hyped in my house.
To see the Archer?
Yes,
which
he
is
has
a Taylor
one of the
Swift
best
song, by the way.
celebrations ever.
Oh,
Seriously.
the Archer is okay. There you go.
All
right.
You just telling on yourself.
Like,
Nobody can do that.
nobody
No, it's
noticed.
good. It's all for a good cause.
Well, at least you know I'm honest.
That's fair.
Honest.
But
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think for Brandon Cooks to come from my hometown team, guys, H-Town, and didn't really have the targets like he should have, but he's been on 5 different teams, traded 4 times. It was just good for me to see him, kind of get that moment. He said that he was just thankful that Dak really started to trust him. So that was something that I really loved to watch.
Yeah, and the genesis of that particular celebration, he's been doing the Archer for a long time, but there's actually a biblical verse that he references. It's Psalms 144:6, which is send forth lightning and scatter the enemy, shoot your arrows and rout them. So the first time he actually used it was in 2015. That's back when he was playing for the Saints. But I'm like Aisha, I've been waiting for it, for 5 weeks, and then we finally got to see it in week 6.
You know what I really liked about it, too, was after the game on the ESPN broadcast, Dak Prescott was asked about Brandon Cooks specifically getting more involved in this game, and he said he's earned it. He's earned this opportunity to have a game like this because since he's come in, I believe it was back in April when he first came in, he's been impactful, not just on the field, but a locker room guy, and that's something that you hear time and time again. And then that seeped into CeeDee's post-game interview where he talked about how impactful Brandon Cooks has been as a locker room leader for him, even saying that he gets up earlier to come to the facility here at the Star because of Brandon Cooks, saying he's just leading by example, basically. And so to see that moment for Brandon Cooks really transpire like it did, it was a long time coming, guys. It was a long time coming. But also, Jerry Jones talked about it on The Fan this morning, saying that a vertical threat is needed. Aisha, I know you talk a lot about this as well. Hello, Brandon Cooks. Hello, Brandon Cooks' speed. Hello, Brandon Cooks' legs. How are you? Jerry said that he wanted to see him a little bit more involved down the field in the stretch as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts up front. Your offensive line struggled in this game. They struggled, and I asked Mike McCarthy about this in the presser in regard to the stunts and the way that the defensive linemen are lining up. It makes it easier to rush the passer, but it makes it more difficult, especially on those interior guys, like to pass guys off, communication, all that stuff. And so that's why I was asking him, is that something they're going to be working on? Because you're starting to see that more from teams, because this Cowboys offensive line, when it is fully intact, it's hard to beat just power on power. Yeah. It just is. So you're seeing teams attack you and get kind of exotic in the way that they're doing things to get pressure on the quarterback. And the quarterback just improvised incredibly well last night. Some of the throws that he made, rolling out to his left, rolling out to his right, I was just impressed with his ability to just extend. And that's something that, to me, that's one of Dak's best traits. It's been one of his best traits to me since he was a rook, his ability to keep his shoulders square, look downfield, and still make a play. And this is also something we talked about on here, is that the scramble drill is something that I felt like this offense really needed to improve on. And we saw them fight for their quarterback in certain points in this game, and I thought that was important. And in regard to Brandon Cooks, I really hope they build upon this, because I remember asking Mike McCarthy about it a couple weeks ago, and he was just saying, like, they're still trying to get in the flow of him being in this offense. And so I think you saw some flow this past week with some of the things that he was able to do. Build upon that. Continue that confidence. And what you got, Christy?
And use them on the fly sweep like they did, where you really, I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah.
He really showed his speed getting the corner on that. But I think the part about Dak using his legs, this wasn't necessarily the design coming in. This was out of necessity.
Yeah.
And it's because we're going to throw a football term out here, and this was in response to one of Aisha's questions in the press conference. It's a really great question. He was talking about wide nine. So what they're doing with the Chargers pass rush, they were setting the edge rushers were wider than most teams normally set their guys outside the tackles.
Yes.
I mean, they were wider. So it's coming from out here. The other thing that they were doing was with their inside guys, they were moving a lot. Aisha mentioned that earlier, that they weren't expecting that. That was a tendency breaker that they came up with during the bye week. So it surprised the Cowboys. Well, if you're getting pressure from the outside, if this pen were a tube of toothpaste and the pressure's coming from out here and you squeeze it, where's the opening? That toothpaste is going to come out through here. And that's what Dak was doing. So when they're coming wide, as Mike says, it opens the A and the B gaps. So that's kind of more towards the middle. So that's why you saw Dak running up more than you've seen in previous games.
Do you ladies feel like seeing more of Dak's mobility will I guess, further the success of this team? How much is that needed for this team
Depends
to have
on the
success?
matchups.
Yeah.
Depends on the matchups. Because like Mike says, you're not going to, and I'm sure Brian Schottenheimer, who's speaking a little bit later this afternoon, will be watching the press conference tonight or tomorrow morning. And I'm sure he'll say the same thing is, you're not going to take your franchise quarterback and run him for the sake of running him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yesterday, I think it was, basically a response to how the Chargers were mixing things up and their plan of attack with their rush.
I also think, too, it's in terms of what they can do to really continue to progress after this week 6 and after the bye week is it's surprising that this is the second week in a row we have to mention it, but their third down efficiency, I think, was lacking a lot in this game, which is something that the Cowboys were leading the league with 2 weeks ago. And so, when you are, let's see, I want to get this right, 5 of 13 in third downs, that's not really setting anybody up for success, whether it be Dak being mobile, whether it be your running backs, no matter what in this unit, you have to be successful in those third down drives because otherwise you're putting yourself in third and long behind the sticks, and then it's a domino effect of you're not going to get in the red zone. You're not going to score. Brandon Aubrey's set up to potentially fail if you keep over kicking the guy, and that's just not something you want to see. And so it's something that's worrisome for me more than Dak being mobile because I think you'll see it when you need to see it. But for me, it's the third down efficiency that is knocking on the door that needs to be changed immediately.
Yeah, and why did they fall behind and have third and long? They couldn't run the ball.
Yeah,
Tony
penalties.
Pollard, 15 carries, 30 yards, 2
Yeah.
yards a carry.
This run game is something that, and that's why I was asking, because this run game is something that can't say I'm concerned about, but I'm extremely curious about, especially just because it's more so the usage for me. I mean, obviously the designs matter and stuff, but it's the usage for me. It's like I believe that the running back choices and how they do things should be based off matchup, like we're talking about. What does this matchup call for? Does this defense handle speedy guys well? Does this not, or do they struggle with more power? How that works and attacking the edges and just how you attack them to me has to be based off of. To me, I think you have to decide who is better for that matchup, and that decides how the reps are. But in regard to the offensive line, I do think communication was a problem last night. I do think
with all that movement that we were talking
and all
about.
that stuff. Yeah, and the 49ers attacked you like that last week also. So for me, I was just asking them, is this something that you guys are going to continue to work? You would assume it would improve with the offensive line being together, but the run game, the lack of run game, to me is becoming a problem. Your quarterback went out there and did some great things. So to your point, I understand they weren't great on third down, but he was in those key moments when he needs to be, third and longs, he's making plays. He's extending these drives. So I agree that that they have to improve on first and second down, especially if you're going to be running the ball the way you're running the ball. So yeah, that's that. That's
it's a rough day in the office when your quarterback is leading your team in rushing yards.
Yeah, that is not something you want to see. And thank goodness the Chargers defense bailed him out several times as well with some crucial penalties. So,
Christy, what did you see from the sidelines as far as that communication from the offensive line when they were on the sidelines? Was there anything?
There's never any finger pointing or yelling at each other. It's always just sitting down, and of course they have the Surface tablets that they're working on and stuff like that. The tight ends sit right next to with the bench area. The offense is the left side, the defense is on the right side, the 50-yard line respectively. And so offensive line sits on the far left, tight ends next to him because tight ends and the O-line work together. But, but credit to the coaches and to the players for making those adjustments as the game went along, not waiting until halftime in regards to, recognizing that, these are tendency breakers. This isn't what we were expecting, and we've got to adjust as we go along and not wait.
I think Mike McCarthy said it so well put in this press conference about how Dan Quinn explained this game, saying it was gritty, but it wasn't pretty. And that is just that's so spot on for what you saw, because you saw the grit, especially after halftime. I was a little worried, and yes, we talked about the time of possession battle, and not that whoever wins it at the end necessarily wins the game, but in this case, it's you can start to see the defense starting to wear down a little bit because the offense isn't extending drives, they're not going down the field, and so for me, when things got resilient for me from the Cowboys offense is the response after the Brandon Cooks touchdown. It was like, bless you.
Not bad, yeah.
It was very spot on for what you need out of this Cowboys offense is, yes, bend but don't break mentality. However, at some point, things have to give a little bit more. And I'm tired of talking about the same things every week. Penalties, self-inflicted wounds, red zone woes, which wasn't as much of an issue, but then you have third down, first and second down. Offense just has to be better. They have to communicate better. They have to be a more cohesive unit. And I think you're seeing steps in the right direction. They're just not there yet. But that's okay, because if that means we're talking in December about they're on the same page, they're playing December football at the highest level, I'm all for this right now. It just does worry me, Aisha, to your point about the run game and the lack of in the last few weeks. And where is Rico Dowdle? I want to see more Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, I'm going to have a tantrum.
I'm putting my foot down with that.
Yeah, I'm going to make a scene.
Where's Rico?
Three carries yesterday, but 12 yards.
It's one of those things where I mean, I'm at a point to where I'm going to stop talking about it just because it's going to start getting me hot because I don't understand it. But also, too, I mean, when I went back and watched the game, they need this bye. This offensive line needs this bye.
Yes.
Do you understand me?
Yep.
There's a lot of guys slow getting up, a lot of guys getting rolled under, a lot of guys getting nicked up. Thank you.
Somebody said bless you on Twitter to Aisha.
A lot of guys getting nicked up, and that's why I was going to ask you, Christy, from your sideline perspective, were guys coming off and kind of trying to get themselves together, or were they just...
Boy, I don't want to jinx anything because we don't get too many of these, but I had 0 injury reports from the Cowboys sideline. We did not have a single player. We didn't have a single player visit. Going to have to be right here on the head.
There.
Didn't have a single player visit the blue medical tent on the Cowboys sideline. There were 2 players for the Chargers. One of them, the first defensive play of the game, got hurt, but he returned to action, and then they lost one of their backup safeties, a special teamer who didn't return. But just because you're not getting checked out in the blue medical tent doesn't mean you're not nicked up. Zach Martin, got his ankle stepped on. I mean, they're all dealing with it. They're all dealing with things.
That's what I was saying. And so I was wondering if... And we talked about when the Cardinals, when the Cowboys played the Cardinals, and, you got 3 backup offensive linemen, and that it changes your play calling.
Yep.
We did not see the Cowboys do really much of anything. They tried to set up a screen one time. I think they did something on the outside.
They haven't had a good screen since Emmitt Smith.
That's not true. We've seen some this year. We've seen some.
Not on a regular basis.
Not on a regular basis. But I'm just saying, even just like the quick outs, but even just the quick outs and things like that. I thought the Cowboys would attack the edges more in this game. And I wonder if it's, number one, the way that Mike McCarthy described them lining up in the wide 9. Because other teams have done that, though, and you've had success running against them. But I wonder if some of the stuff that, some of the offensive linemen being a little nicked up plays a role in their mobility and how quickly they can get to the second level and how dominant they can be in that regard. And if that means anything to why they decided to just run between the tackles in the way that they did, that was not favorable at all. That's just me. I wonder, I don't think he agreed with me.
Well, actually, it's great because one of the things, the players, and I know we got to go to break in just a moment, but just so fans know, the players, they had meetings today, they had their workout and then their medical treatments, and then they're off for the rest of the week. From a media standpoint, we have access to the assistant coaches tomorrow. So Mike Solari, the new Cowboys offensive line coach, that can be a question posed to him.
Okay.
All right, ladies. We're going to be breaking down this defense coming up right after the break. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be right back.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And the 2024 PBR World Finals are taking over AT&T Stadium on May 18th and 19th. Don't miss your chance to see the biggest and best bull riding action as the world's best riders fight for the coveted gold buckle. It all comes down to this. 2-day ticket packages are on sale now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium. Have you guys ever been bull riding?
Oh,
bull riding?
I've never.
I would never go on a real bull. No.
Well,
so
oh my gosh.
mechanical.
Oh yeah.
Of course, at
Not a
Gillies.
real one.
At Gillies, duh.
I've never done that.
So
Christy didn't live.
We're gonna
Okay.
take you.
And
We're
the-
gonna take you.
gotta go.
We're
but
gonna go.
one of the world's biggest PBR fans is my mom.
Oh.
And see, the AT&T Stadium in North Texas area wrested the PBR finals away from Las Vegas. So it's a big deal that it continues to come back here to North Texas. But I will be getting on SeatGeek. I hope Mom's not watching right now. But tickets for that in May are going to be one of
There
her
you
Christmas
go.
presents because we've gone out to Vegas to see the finals. So that's how
fun.
big a
That should be
fan
fun.
she is.
It's a good time. It's a good time. You should go and
It's
mechanical bull.
I'm gonna try it.
I'm
Hopefully
gonna
I
take
don't
you.
fall
But
off.
at this
You don't-
final, these
you don't
are
really
real
have a
bulls.
choice. I'm gonna take
These
you.
are real
Okay.
bulls.
Oh goodness.
Well, I thought you were asking if we rode real bulls. I was like,
No,
I'm not about that. But
Goodness, no.
thanks for asking.
No. All right, ladies, let's break down this defense. Obviously, Micah Parsons was what?
Nah, I'm concerned. Y'all putting y'all life in danger like that. Go. Let's talk
I'm
about
sorry.
the
I'm sorry.
defense like that.
I mean, Michael Parsons, obviously, shout out to him coming down the stretch with a big sack. Almost 3 games away where he was about to be sackless. So shout out to him for a big game. Stephon Gilmore with the INT to seal the game. What did you guys like from this defense? They held this LA Chargers offense that was averaging 27 points a game to just 17 points. What did y'all like from that?
I liked it. Period.
Liked it.
No, here's the thing about Micah Parsons, and
Yeah.
something that I like to talk about with him is we talk about it all the time here. Is stats don't mean everything, and especially when it comes to number of sacks in a game, because Micah is putting pressure on quarterbacks nonstop, whether he's getting to them or not. They're feeling the pressure. They're feeling that edge rush, and it was just so spot on. Ironic. It was Troy Aikman in the broadcast saying, "Oh, we haven't seen a lot of Micah Parsons," and then right when he said that, Micah gets the sack. So shout out to Troy. Maybe he should say that every snap that opposing offenses are on. But I do want to say Micah's impact is still felt, whether he's getting the sacks or not. Still felt, and a big kudo to all the young guys that have stepped up in this unit to kind of help balance out, the losses that they have with injury right now. Something I was really curious about was how the team was going to respond without Leighton Vander Esch. We know that's your key communicator. Chris, you talked about J-Ron getting the green dot on the helmet and being the communicator. I think that's something that you're going to have to continue to kind of keep an eye on while Leighton is out, as it's going to be a minimum 4 weeks. We don't know. It could be longer. But overall, yeah, I think defense is your backbone of this team. You know that, you see it, and the offense just has to help balance them out and not wear them out and keep them off the field as much as possible so they can continue to be impactful.
Yeah. And I thought DeMarcus Lawrence was totally dominant yesterday. He dominated. He was great. And then Marquise Bell, Jess, you mentioned the young guys.
Yeah,
and
ring the bell.
And Mike McCarthy said that, there you go, get ready for the
That
coin.
was my mom. She told me to say that.
Okay.
Wait,
there you
that's
go.
another Taylor Swift song?
No, it's just a pun, and she can't
Just
help
a pun.
herself. Go ahead, Chris.
So Marquise Bell, according to Mike McCarthy, is probably going to end up with one of the game balls for such a good game yesterday. You mentioned Damone Clark. He, of course, he had been starting linebacker all along, but he basically kind of slid over a spot within the linebacker core, so basically taking over Leighton Vander Esch's duties there. But you're right about, even though it was only one sack, Justin Herbert was harassed continuously yesterday. He looked like he still made some awesome throws. You guys know how excited I was to get to see him
we
play.
know.
She go.
And just from a football fan standpoint, I was disappointed to not see him, make all the plays that he did.
I'm going to start putting a quarter in every time we talk about quarterback play. There we
But
go.
he's
gotta do
awesome.
her job.
He's
It's fair.
awesome, but they made him look
Aaron
on so
Rodgers.
many plays average.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You talked about the pressure. If I'm not mistaken, at one point in time, the Cowboys had a 49% pressure rate. And don't try to downplay this defensive showing, man. I mean, that offense was 7th in scoring coming into this game, 8th in yards per play. They were 5th in red zone percentage. They score when they get down there, and the Cowboys literally held them to a field goal and, a turnover on downs down there. So I agree. The defensive output was really good. I was impressed with the way that they played the run. Hey, listen,
Yes, thank
Austin
you.
Eckler,
Thank
Austin
you.
Eckler gonna look up and he ain't gonna want to see 14 ever again. You understand? I'm for real. Marquise Bell, from the minute that Austin Eckler had anything on the outside, he was like, hey, man, I'm here. It's gonna be a long day. And one thing about Marquise Bell that I love, it was from him being an HBCU player. They talked about it yesterday. Is like he feels the moment, but he doesn't let it get too big for him, because he's a guy that comes from, they didn't have these facilities. They don't have this fancy stuff. They don't have treatment. So he's callous in a way that makes him, in these moments, not shy away from it. And the physicality that he played with yesterday, I tweeted that I think it's interesting, it's easy to forget that he's only been playing linebacker for 7 weeks.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget that. And I do think that with linebacker, with all of the diagnosing, and it is one of the hardest positions on the field. I don't care what anyone says. He's really starting to look like he is getting it. He is seeing it and reacting. And that also shows how, in his film study he is. And so I'm proud of the young man, and I'm really, he said, oh, y'all gonna go pick up a linebacker? Oh,
I got you.
Remember, I am here. Yeah. I'm here to stay. And so, as far as the defense goes, I was impressed with, again, the pressure, the consistent pressure they were able to get. But really what set that up is the fact that they defended the run incredibly well. And Austin Eckler is no one to snuff at. He is coming back from an injury, but he's a dual threat that has tore up other defenses. So, credit to them.
Yeah, and the 53 rushing yards that the Chargers accumulated in the game, 20 of them were Justin Herbert on quarterback scrambles. So to Aisha's point, it was a terrific game for the run defense. May I share what happened with Kellen Moore on the sideline, the meme that's going around where he puts his hand over his head and things like that?
Please do.
Yeah, so that was a play. It was late in the game, and the Chargers are in the red zone, threatening to score. And Austin Eckler is out wide left. So even though he's a running back, they line him up outside because, as Aisha says, he's such a receiving threat. So Justin Herbert is motioning for Eckler to move. The play clock is going down. And as Herbert turns towards Eckler and is talking and motioning him, I'm just right over there on the sidelines, so I can see Herbert trying to communicate. And Eckler just raises his hand and is like, no. Well, instead of taking a timeout or something like that, they go ahead and snap the ball, and Herbert ends up running a little bit towards the right. But there was, miscommunication or something happened on that play where Eckler wasn't either going in motion or wasn't where Herbert thought he should be. And so Kellen knew that the play was blowing up. It was like one of those slow motion nightmare things, no.
I want to go home.
So that's so when you see that one of Kellen, yeah, it was great to see Kellen though before the game. It was old home week pregame.
Yeah.
On the sideline.
Simi.
Doug Simi Fehoko.
Simi,
It was great
yeah.
to see Simi. I think a lot of Cowboy fans don't realize that after he was let go at the end of training camp, the Chargers got him just like that. And Doug Nussmeier is the quarterback's coach for the Chargers, as he was here for Dak and the Cowboys, and so he was visiting a lot on the pregame sideline as well. And then we had a little melee breakout, but it didn't have to. It was the coaches breaking things up, but. Yeah, that was a chippy game, and it happened, probably about 40 minutes before kickoff, and it was like, oh boy, this is going to be a long day.
Is this becoming a thing to where the Chargers are gonna it doesn't matter? It's gonna become like a tough game because this is the same. I don't know. They played them really tough. They did last year too.
They did. They're a physical team, and even though Joey Bosa played in the game, of course, Joey Bosa coming off the toe injury and also hamstring injury. Even though he played, he was not Joey Bosa. I'm sorry, that he wasn't dominant like we're used to seeing as he worked his way back from injury. But what happened in the pregame is there are certain areas of the field where the position groups do their work. So for the defensive backs, the Chargers defensive backs were just in front of the Cowboys sideline between the 40 and the 50-yard line. That's their designated area. Nothing wrong. Well, here's the thing. If you're on the Cowboys bench, the Chargers have the right side of the field for their pregame warm-up. The Cowboys have the left side. The issue is the tunnel where the Cowboys players are coming out is down the right side. So they have to cross all the way past the Chargers doing their pregame to get to the Cowboys side so they can start their warm-ups. And another thing that happens in pregame is you come out by position group. Everyone doesn't come out there at the same time. It's very proscribed, exact times of when people come out and take their areas and start their work. So the DBs are there between the 40 and the 50-yard line right in front of the Cowboys bench. Here come the defensive players, the defensive line, and they're right through the defensive backs for the Chargers, who take exception. And then boys being boys and too much testosterone in a small area of the field, and now we've got a fracas going. So we need to do something. The NFL... We've had issues with the 49ers. The 49ers in Cleveland had a skirmish. Something needs to be done logistically so that you're not having teams cross through other teams' areas and having these potential issues.
Something I wanted to mention real quick while we were on the topic of players maybe not playing the same because of injury. Need not forget Justin Herbert was playing with an injured or I think broken finger on his left hand, and given that's not his throwing hand, but still it's going to impact how he plays. And so I don't think you saw a full force Justin Herbert during this game by any means, to your point earlier, Kristen.
Yeah, and when it's shotgun and they're having to use the silent count and the Cowboys fans are going crazy. It really did. If you were listening to our Cowboys radio broadcast, you wouldn't have been able to tell if it were a Cowboys home game or a road game. That's how loud the Cowboys fans were there. And I'll tell you that just to put this in perspective, the tickets, of course it was a sellout. The resale tickets were going game day, $284 a piece for the nosebleed. 24 hours earlier, the Rams hosted the Cardinals at that very same place, those same sections in the upper deck. Online resale, $25.
Bye.
Bye. All right, ladies. Well, we will be back next week. We actually have a media mix-up. Let me just go ahead and read you guys the rundown for those who are listening. 9 a.m. tomorrow. This will be tomorrow, guys, starting at 9 a.m. Talking Cowboys will feature Cal Yeomans, Barry Guest, Brian Broaddus, Kurt Daniels.
Barry Church.
Yeah, I'm Barry Church, sorry. And then 10 a.m. will be Storyline. That'll be Nick Eatman and Nate Newton. 11 a.m. will be Cowboys Break, Derek Eagleton, Nick Harris, Danny McCray, and John Makota. Noon will be Mick Schatz, Bill Jones, Mickey Spagnola, and Christy Scales. 1 p.m.
Got to keep those boys in line. You'll definitely want to tune in at noon Wednesday and next Monday.
Yes. 1 p.m. Hanging with the Boys, Shannon Gross, Aisha Morrison, shout out girl. All right, Patrick Walker and Heckma Harrison.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay.
Heckma.
Sorry, y'all. I'm still new. I'm still working on this. 2 p.m. will be Players Lounge. Nuvi Scruggs, Jesse Holly, Everson Walls, and Jess Navarez.
Because 2 Jesses are better than 1.
Look, Jesse Holly and I are notebook twins. I'm all for it.
And 3 p.m. you'll be right here for Girls Talk, Boys Talk. That'll be me, Ambar Garcia, Isaiah Stanback, and Savannah Hugh Mahler.
It's gonna be lit.
Yeah, we're
It's a
excited.
party. It's a
I'm
party.
gonna
All
miss
right.
you guys, but you
We'll
know
be back
what is
next
it?
Tuesday.
Absence makes the heart grow
That's
fonder.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll miss you, ladies.
we'll be back.
We'll be back, though. Are you watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk for Christy Scales, Jess Navarez, Aisha Morrison? I'm Nicole Hutchison. We'll see you next Tuesday.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,